back. Good afternoon, South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Afternoon Express. We are live on SABC3. I'm Bonang Mateba. It is a Tuesday, which means today's show is all about sustainability. And of course, it's all about conservation. Today, we're going to be taking a look at how the major cities of South Africa are and what are they doing exactly to cut down the number of cars that are on the road. And in so doing, obviously cutting down the amount of carbon emissions. Namely, I'm talking about, of course, the EcoMobility project out in Sandton in Johannesburg. And right here in Cape Town, we're going to be chatting to Brett Herron from the city of Cape Town. It's going to be telling us about the Green Cycling Lane project. Very interesting stuff. But it's not only about transport, darling. We do have the former Miss Earth South Africa, Catherine Constantinides. Almost got it. She's going to be in the loft. We're going to be chatting about her and her career and what exactly she's been up to. Former Miss Earth South Africa turned executive producer. Lots to get through. But it's not just me in the loft. We are live. We do want to hear from you. But Bonnie has all the details.
Of course. Welcome, South Africa. I'm Bonnie Mbuli. Now, joining me in the kitchen is one of the craziest and bravest South Africans, Chris Bertish. Now, he's a big wave surfer and an adventurous, and he's here to talk about his book, Stoked, which we will be giving away later on in the show, so stay tuned for those details. Welcome to the loft.
Thank you very much.
Happy to have you.
Lovely to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And also joining me in the kitchen is Amber Hoofmeester from Woolies, and we're going to be making something fresh and vibrant and quite summery, right?
Vietnamese spring rolls with the trending condiment, sriracha sauce.
Yummy. That really sounds amazing. And are we using that see-through wrap?
The rice wrap, yes.
Rice
the one
wrap
that goes
paper.
all translucent.
Okay,
Yeah.
Can't wait. I love that kind of stuff. We're also making jalapeno chili poppers later on, so we're taking you for a trip down to Mexico. But for now, let's head back to the couch with Bonang.
Oh, we're going to Niseko. That's very exciting. Thank you so much, Bonnie. But our first guest in the loft today, she is a former Miss Earth South Africa turned executive director, a social entrepreneur, humanitarian, climate activist, and was named one of the 200 top young South Africans of 2014, amongst other accolades. Joining us on the couch is Catherine Constantinides. I said it right the next time, right?
You absolutely did.
How are you? Welcome to the loft.
Thank you so much. What an honor to be here.
Thank you very much. But let's firstly start off with the Miss Earth South Africa pageant. And, you know, for anybody that doesn't know, how does it differ from any other pageant that we have in the country?
The Miss Earth South Africa is really a leadership program for young South African women, and it's a platform to get young South African women more actively involved in issues around sustainability, the environment, conservation, food security. So the young women are really actually assessed and win in accordance to the work they do in communities. They have an extensive program and they're really put to the task. But at the end, it's the young green ambassadors that sort of come out at the top, and we're very proud to have such amazing women in communities doing such great work.
But Catherine, then how do you find these, you know, young girls that you then put through to the Miss Earth South Africa? Where do you find them? How do you find them? It must be quite an exciting process.
It's really an exciting process. It's all done by application. So the young women across South Africa are invited to apply through the website. And after that process, we go around the country, we run workshops, as well as then interview young women. And the women who we believe have the most potential to grow and to be active in their communities will go through to the next round. We then work with 75 girls, and the process then unfolds.
But then let's move along to you, right? You're a social entrepreneur. And what does that mean exactly? And what kind of projects do you work on?
I think for me, being a social entrepreneur, it's really about identifying the challenges we face in our communities and in our country and on our continent, and being able to, as an entrepreneur, to find ways to really address those challenges and find innovative ways to really ensure that we change the status quo of those challenges and find solutions to make the world a better place and to impact our environment.
And talking about those conversations and, of course, the African continent, you travel all across the world, making sure that the voices of the African youth, you know, are heard in terms of conservation and the work that you do. Was there a particular event or a particular moment that stood out for you?
Wow. I've really been so privileged to work across the continent, as you say, and to really engage with people in communities in the most untouched parts of the continent. I think being part of the Archbishop Tutu African Oxford Fellowship, I think that being a Tutu Fellow has been most certainly one of those moments, as well as being able to engage and express what I believe to great leaders Tata Madiba, our former US President Bill Clinton.
Wow.
These are people I've had the privilege of being able to sit down and have extensive discussions with. And these are the people that have really molded the kind of journey I've continued to lead.
But talking about that journey, do you remember, was there a particular point in your life where you fell in love with conservation, with sustainability, with making sure, you know, that the world know about the environment and what exactly is going on? Do you remember when you were a little girl? Or was
Yes.
this when you, before or after you entered Miss Earth?
I think definitely that moment was sitting in the garden on my knees with my dad in a vegetable patch in the middle of summer.
Really?
In Johannesburg, and picking the strawberries that weren't yet ripe, but sitting with my sister Elabella and my dad. Definitely, I think that was a defining moment. Time spent in the garden and at home, learning to appreciate and to honor the earth around us. I think that was really important. But I learned so much as part of my Miss Earth journey, definitely.
But, you know, one of the biggest things that have happened for you, of course, you were part of the 21 Icons film project. Now that is huge, Catherine. That is massive. We'll go to you being one of the top 200 young South Africans. How has that impacted you?
You know, I think it's really an opportunity for me to highlight the work we do.
Yeah.
Being part of the 21 Icons is really not about me, but it's about the work that gets done through the platforms I've created. It's about the amazing human beings that have been part of my journey. And it's really an honor to them. And I salute every single one of them because it's really about the work that gets done through the Miss Earth South Africa project, through Generation Earth, and through the platforms that I've been so honored to work with over the past decade.
But what does it mean for you as an individual to be part of something so iconic like the 21 Icons film project? I mean, do you remember when you got the call?
Yes, I didn't believe it. I was like, this can't be true. You know, this is such a highly acclaimed project.
Absolutely.
And it has seen the great, iconic leaders of our country being acknowledged. To be a part of something so unbelievable is still hard to really put into words because I'm one of many amazing South Africans who do phenomenal work every single day. So to be handpicked as one of 21 is really, I'm very honored, overwhelmed, but it's truly a privilege and an honor. And to be included on a project where the art of Gary van Wyk is depicted in the beautiful way that it is truly, truly something that I will carry with me forever.
And, you know, Catherine, we've seen so many projects kind of popping up all across the country in media. And, of course, you know, just on our day-to-day lives, like the EcoMobility project we're going to be chatting about a little bit later, and the Green Cycling Lane project as well. But there's a certain, I don't know, sort of a trend that I'm seeing where everybody wants to make conservation cool and saving the planet cool. Do you think it's about time that this is happening in 2015, that people are like, take care of the earth that you live in, come on? But you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm saying we saw it with Woolworths and Pharrell.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's about time that this has started to happen because, you know, when I started doing the work that I was doing, people looked at me and I'm sure they thought I fell out of a tree and hit my head because I was talking about climate change and sustainability and these kinds of things that were really not a South African problem. These were things that, you know, were dealt with by the Northern Hemisphere. So I really think that it is amazing to see great brands like Woolworths ensure that sustainability becomes part of their business journey. It has to be. It has to be how we change our mindset and how we ensure that this is how we live. It mustn't be something we try to do. We've got to be living a sustainable journey.
Absolutely. A little bit later, we're going to be giving you ways and, you know, sort of ideas of how you can do this every single day of your life. But Catherine isn't going anywhere. We're going to pick her brain a little bit more right here in the loft. After the break, Bonnie makes us some fresh summer vegetable rolls and we chat to inspiring adventurous Chris Bertish. Make sure you don't move.
Five Roses blends only the top 2 leaves of the finest Ceylon teas. Because nobody makes better tea than you and Five Roses.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express here on SABC3. We're in the kitchen about to make something quite vibrant and summery, right?
Fresh, happening.
Fresh, nice, nice. I like light meals in summer because I tend to actually just not want to eat in summer.
And
I
this
shouldn't
one's
say
like-
that, but yeah.
And
anyway.
this one's pretty easy. So the kit comes with your rice wraps that you just soak in water for like 2 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then it comes with the vermicelli noodles that you also just soak for 5 minutes. And then, of course, the peanut dipping sauce.
All
And then all
right.
the other components are fresh, which you just literally cut up or take out of the bag.
Okay, and the
All
water
convenient.
needs to be lukewarm.
Lukewarm, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so
All the details are on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za, so do check them out for the full recipe and shopping list. Okay.
So it's pretty simple. We're just going to do a line. So we'll start with our wraps on there.
Okay.
And then we'll start with lettuce. So you do one and I'll do one.
Okay, you start the production line then.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll go noodles.
And this is quite an important ingredient, eh?
Oh, yes. Trending condiment of...
Sriracha.
Yep. So sriracha comes from the sriracha, well, our sriracha comes from the Sriracha Island in Thailand. And it's basically chilies, garlic, salt, sugar, and vinegar that they just mix into a smooth paste. Ours originates from the 1930s when the housewife actually used to make it for their families and friends.
It's quite fiery.
Yeah. Okay. Fiery but garlicky, so it's got all that umami notes going on.
Right.
Okay, so now I've layered the vermicelli noodles,
Okay.
the cucumber, the carrots, the coriander, and the Thai basil, the peanuts. And then
What are these dried leaves?
that is Thai basil.
Thai basil.
Yeah. So not as strong as the normal
As the
fresh
normal
basil,
basil, yeah.
and a whole lot of more Thai influences. So basically, very easy. Tuck, fold, and fold.
And then we're ready.
And then you're ready.
Okay. How long do you soak the wraps so that you don't kind of over-soak them?
So you'll do...
So they look quite flimsy.
Yeah, so start from like 1 to 2 minutes and check it at 2 minutes. And when you feel that it's pliable enough, you can then take it out. You also want to work with it while it's like super wet so that it's easier for handling and it doesn't stick.
It's basically one giant flat noodle.
One giant flat noodle, yes.
Okay.
That's been, dried out, and then you just rehydrate it again.
All right.
So you see I've got the line going again.
Yeah.
Cucumber, carrots, coriander, some nuts.
Okay. So
Some
we're just
basil.
using this as a dipping sauce?
You can either
it's
use it as a
optional.
dipping sauce or you just use to dress afterwards. Because there's nothing fiery in here besides the coriander, but it won't be too fiery. It's more fresh
And if your guests don't eat hot food, you want to give them an option.
of having it on the side. Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll just do that, and then you serve. Easy peasy.
Perfect. There we go. And do remember, the whole recipe is on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. Bonang is on the couch with inspiring waterman Chris Bertish.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. I'm really, really excited. But when you're born into a family of surfers, it's inevitable that you'll find yourself into the ocean at a very young age. But to take that legacy to the next level and become a professional big wave surfer takes a special kind of cojones. Joining us on the couch is a man who, against all odds, won the 2010 Mavericks Big Wave Invitational in California with a no-nonsense motto of dream it, see it, believe it, achieve it. Please welcome to the loft, Mr. Chris Bertish. Welcome to the loft.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Meet you, Chris. I mean, your story reads so familiar because we had Roxy Lowe in the loft a couple of months ago, and she was saying as well, I mean, she fell in love with sport because she grew up in a family that played a lot of sport and ended up in water. How did your journey begin? When did you fall in love with surfing?
I think that's a great question. I think a lot of people don't have the opportunity or aren't as fortunate as me, where I grew up with a family as the youngest of three brothers, and my dad was a waterman. He did a whole lot of different sports from a pretty early age. So I sort of got immersed in the ocean from the age of as far back as I can remember. I think I remember sailing with my dad, falling asleep on the hull of the catamaran up on one side when I was probably about 3 or 4 years old. So the ocean's sort of become my church, my temple, and my sanctuary.
That's amazing. But how is it? Tell us about the experience of being like in a 20+ meter high wave. You know, what is the feeling like? What is, you know, the experience for somebody who hasn't surfed like myself?
You know, a lot of people actually ask me the questions. It's very difficult to obviously try and put that into words. You know, you're positioning yourself and riding on a wave which is, you know, the size of a 5-story building that's traveling at 50 to 60 kilometers an hour, and it's probably got about 350 cubic tons of water that could light up a small town for a week if you could harness the power of one wave. And it's about, you know, I guess like a lot of the time in life, it's about, you know, timing, positioning, preparation, and having the belief in yourself that once you get to that moment, to be able to live completely and be in the moment, and then have the courage to be able to face your fears, overcome them, and then still make the decision to move forward and have the visualization to be able to see it through.
I love it. I love that you use the word preparation because you're currently preparing to stand up paddling across the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, stand up paddling is for like people on holiday down in the lagoon, but no, Chris wants to cross the Atlantic Ocean. What sparked that idea?
I think the flights these days are getting really too expensive.
So you'd rather just paddle your way all the way.
You know, the cell phone and the banking can't get hold of you in the middle of the ocean, so it's a great way for escapism.
Brilliant. But where did the idea come from? I mean, yeah.
I think it's all about, you know, continuously challenging yourself and challenging what's possible out there. You know, I've always believed in continuously trying to evolve and challenge myself to push myself to see how much further you can go in whatever you do. And, you know, so I feel like I reached the pinnacle of the sport on the big wave surfing side of things, and I wanted to cross over that into different sports and different challenges and find different opportunities and ways to be able to challenge myself, because I think, you know, there's no such thing as failure, only failure to try. So it's about just, you know, keep on pushing yourself and seeing where it takes you.
You're so inspiring, just listening to you. But you've penned down a book called Stoked. Is it a biography about your life, or is it a little bit more than that? I'm going to grab this from you.
Yeah, it's actually, I wasn't planning on writing a book at all, actually.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a writer. I've never thought of myself as an author, but we ended up actually putting together a movie which is called Ocean Driven, which we're launching. I've launched it in America, and we're hoping to launch it in South Africa in November, December. And when we started cutting down the film because it was too long, we ended up cutting out so many parts of the story that I actually started getting quite concerned that we weren't telling the full story because we had to make it into an hour. And I felt like we were losing so many of the stories that I actually decided to write the book so we could have the full story in there. And a lot of people told me, you know, it wouldn't happen, and you know, it was impossible for me to write a book because I wasn't an author. But I think that, you know, the message sort of follows through everything that I've done. It's about believing in yourself and having the courage to be able to believe in yourself and follow that passion and follow things through, and having the resilience and determination to believe that you can achieve anything and then go out and actually do it.
Is that the message you want people to take away from Stoked and, you know, Ocean Driven, your new movie?
But yeah, great question. I think it's about empowering people to believe in what's possible. And I think a lot of people live in the harbour of the known in life, and they don't challenge themselves, so they actually never realize where the magic lies and where their true potential lies. And I think I was chatting to Catherine a little bit earlier about it, and we were talking about, you know, finding your purpose and finding your why, finding your passion in life. And I think that's so important, because once you find your passion, then you're driven by that purpose, and life isn't work, and your job that you do isn't work because you love what you do and you do what you love, and then you have boundless amounts of energy and boundless amounts of passion to be able to follow that purpose and that why through. And I think people pick up on that energy, and they pick up on that self-belief to be able to follow your passions and live your dreams. And I think, you know, we're only here for a very short space of time in life,
absolutely.
and you know, I believe that we should make the most of it. And if we can do that and give back at the same time by being able to inspire other people to believe in themselves and what's possible, then that's a great
Listening
purpose in
to you,
itself.
I just want to read this book already. It says here, Stoked, an inspiring story about courage, determination, and the power of dreams. Chris, this is incredible. Dream it, see it, believe it, achieve it. You make it sound so easy, but a little bit later I'm going to be asking you about Ocean Driven, your movie, and all of that. But to everybody that's watching, if you want to get your hands on this book, you definitely want it, all right? We are going to be giving away a copy signed by Chris himself. All you need to do, all right, is SMS the keyword books, your name and city to 33728. So that's books, your name and city to 33728 if you want to get your hands on this incredible book. But Chris isn't going anywhere. After the break, we chat about National Carpool Week, and we take a look at the green cycle lanes in Cape Town. Stick around.
Get 15% off with W Rewards when you pay with your Woolies card. Get the card, get the rewards.
All Alrighty, welcome back. You're watching Afternoon Express. We're live on SABC3. So, over the past 12 weeks, we've been running our Go Green Sustainability series every Tuesday, and it's time to announce the winner of last week's SMS competition. Congratulations to Leanne Pillay from Johannesburg. You've won yourself a 1,000 Rands Woolies gift card. Now, many of you are wondering about our draw for the ultimate grand prize. Now, just to let you know, the competition entries are now officially closed, but make sure you keep tuning into Afternoon Express because we'll be announcing the winner very, very soon.
Awesome. Now, carpooling has many well-known benefits, such as saving money on petrol and reducing carbon emissions. Often overlooked are the social benefits of carpooling that can have an incredible impact on people's lives. This week in South Africa is National Carpool Week, and this year's theme is Carpool Karaoke.
Wow.
What is Carpool Karaoke?
So, well, I think the actual theme is around trying to excite people to all jump into a car and do something that's exciting. And by so doing, they actually are creating, hopefully, a small culture for themselves to get into a car together and go from one spot to the next.
I find it quite, I've always wondered about this. In a place, say, for example, like Johannesburg,
Yes,
where
that was
people
my-
see cars as such a status symbol, how do you get people like that excited and conscious about the benefits of saving the environment? And leaving their cars at home and carpooling, say, with their friend who's in a Golf. And 5 of them are in a
Just
Golf.
like, nah.
I'm going to say
Exactly.
well, then you're all going to have to carpool with Bonang.
But
So that she
right,
doesn't have to give up her car.
Okay.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
nah.
But usually
girl.
people in those cars are like, I don't want nobody in my car, though.
But do you think we have that culture of people who are carpooling, Catherine? I'm going to ask you because, I mean, you've had talks all across the world, and you know that in the States it's a big thing. People do it every single day. In South Africa, do you see that possible?
do we
We
change
don't
people's
have the
mindsets?
culture.
Yeah.
You're quite right. We don't have that culture of carpooling and doing that kind of thing. And I think it's because our cities initially were not geared up for us to be using modes of transport that, you know, we could go onto a bus or a subway. Using the Caltrain now is really a phenomenal example of how we can move forward. But I think carpooling is definitely something that we have to experience and we have to teach South Africans about what is this concept and get them to become comfortable with it, because it's not something that South Africans are comfortable with.
Why are the amount of cars on the roads only increasing? I would think that with every increase of cars, there's a decrease of cars for many reasons, but it doesn't seem that way. I mean, am I not getting this equation? Please explain.
Well, you'd think that actually in this country more people would actually carpool because the cost of our fuel is so expensive, and because we have such poor transport systems that you'd think more people would share. So it's quite fascinating that we don't have that culture, and it's not something that is trying to be instilled in the youth because it's so important. And obviously, you know, with the price of fuel continually increasing, you would think that it would increase a lot further.
So, Catherine, for somebody like me who's like, girl, please, okay, nobody's gonna get in my ride. How would you convince me to, for instance, take Jeannie, take Bonnie, take Danilo, and all of us in one car? How would you convince me? What would you say to me? What are some of the benefits?
Oh, thanks. You know, I think it's really Carpool Week specifically aims to give a theme so they can be fun. And I think that the idea behind the carpool karaoke is really to get South Africans engaged. They're using social media platforms to say, if you're carpooling and doing karaoke in your car, tweet
So
us
people
your
get in a car and sing.
and they sing, and they put their favorite
It's quite a lot of
music on.
admin. I mean, I hope it really takes off. I do.
And
like,
the thing is that Carpool Week in South Africa has been going for a few years now. So there must be some kind of traction in order for it to roll on year after year.
But you've got to find the right music, and everybody's got to agree on it. If you've got to have everybody in the same car.
If you were in my car, it'd be hip-hop.
There we go.
But talking about social media, actually, Catherine, we want to know, if you're watching Afternoon Express right now, would you carpool? Have you carpooled? And do you think it's a brilliant idea? Do you think South Africa has the culture to really get into it and make sure that we, you know, reduce the amount of carbon emissions?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
most important.
Yeah. I think moms like me actually have a better understanding of carpooling. Yeah, I think it's you singles who are all like independent.
No children, no nothing, just going with the flow. But before we move on, Chris, I was speaking to you a little bit earlier, and we're talking about your new film, Ocean Drive, right? what do you want people to take from that particular movie? If I read the book and then I don't watch the film, or if I watch the film and I don't read the book?
Sure, that's a tough one. I guess it is a story about courage, determination, the power of dreams. But I think it's more than that. It's not. You know, a lot of people think it's about surfing, but it's actually not. It's actually just an inspirational message about the underdog and believing in yourself. And I think the most powerful tool in the world is self-belief. And a lot of people don't have the confidence within themselves to believe that they can achieve certain things. So it's actually the message about, you know, anybody can do anything. It's just about having the mindset, believing in yourself, and having the courage to be able to follow it through.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, speaking of underdogs, Danilo. Let's see what Danilo got up to.
Reducing the number of cars on the roads in cities leads to a healthier decrease, not only in the amount of traffic, but also to the impact on the environment. Today we talk cycling lanes with the mayoral committee member for transport in Cape Town, Brett Herron. Welcome to The Loft.
Thank you.
Brett, so obviously I'm very excited to hear that government is starting to get involved in this idea of climate change. Have we, in South Africa, signed any treaties recently in terms of what we've agreed to in terms of carbon emissions?
Well, we've signed a number of agreements and treaties over many years, all of the COP agreements. The City of Cape Town is about to sign the C40 agreements, and we'll be going to Paris at the end of the year, where we will announce the targets for emissions reductions that we are planning to meet.
Amazing. So what we are doing as a country, I think, is taking small strides towards reducing those emissions. It's a very real way. It's starting to affect our public, and we're seeing that happen with all of the amounts of people up in arms about public transport, but it's actually been an incredible way to reduce carbon emissions. Now in Cape Town, you've installed these green lanes. Tell us more about the green cycling lanes.
Well, around the world, cities are using lanes demarcated and colorized green for cycle facilities. We tested over about a year a green strip in Bree Street to see if the paint would wear well, and whether motorists and cyclists would use it and how they would react to it. And we discovered that there was an improved compliance by motorists. Motorists saw this green lane and realized that it was not for them and stayed out of it mostly. And we've now completed the Bree Street lanes, the first green lanes in the country. Amazing. And when we implemented the cycle lanes that connect the southern suburbs through to the city along Albert Road through Woodstock and Obbs, we implemented those with greening.
Amazing. So it's really taking huge strides towards getting there. I'll speak as the devil's advocate now, but how do we convert drivers into cyclists? Because my car is pretty comfy.
That is the big challenge. I mean, we need to move more people from private cars to public transport and to other modes of transport. And I imagine that, I mean, government will do all we can to make it happen, but real life conditions, everyday conditions may also cause people to move, because we live in a confined space. We don't have much space to add road capacity. We don't have the funds to add road capacity, and adding road capacity makes no sense. There's latent demand that will very soon consume that road capacity. So more and more people are complaining about traffic congestion. So I think people will be forced to look at other modes of transport if they want to continue to live in a sustainable and livable city.
So let's talk more about the idea of cyclists being on the roads. I, as a driver, sometimes get frustrated driving behind cyclists, because I'm just like, you're an inconvenience to my day. You're driving 10 kilometers an hour, and I really just want to get to my place that I want to be at. What are the rules of the road, and sort of what are some of the benefits we should be envisaging when we see a cyclist on the road?
Well, I think the starting point, as I said, is that creating facilities and encouraging cycling is about shifting people from private cars to other modes of transport. So we need to regard cyclists as legitimate users of the road space. In fact, when we opened the Sea Point Promenade to cyclists, it was because we wanted to start promoting a message around sharing the space. And so we need motorists to accept cyclists as legitimate road users, and to see them as part of the future of mobility in our cities, because road space is diminishing, and cyclists take up a lot less space.
What are some of the benefits of cycling? For me as a road user, what are some of the benefits of me converting towards cycling? How am I contributing to the environment?
Transport is one of the biggest components or producers of carbon emissions in our cities. And so if we're going to, as I said earlier, live in a livable, sustainable city, we're going to have to address that. And some of the targets that we are proposing at the end of the year, the C40, the Cities 40 conference, is to reduce the transport component of our city's carbon emissions. So there's the environmental aspect. It is obviously a healthier way to move around. And so part of the work we have to do is to reduce travel distances to make our city more efficient. So it's about a more efficient city, a more sustainable city, and a healthier lifestyle.
Amazing. So as a driver, as a person who drives a vehicle, I might be able to say that maybe it's quite expensive to buy a bicycle, and there are a whole bunch of other health benefits and safety precautions involved with this. How fast should we start converting ourselves into cyclists? And also, what can we expect if we don't start cycling?
Well, I think every single one of us who owns a car or uses a car needs to consider how they can change their mobility patterns. So we need to each start with ourselves and how can I change how I move around the city? Can I use public transport? Can I walk? Can I cycle? And then to make that shift. I mean, if we don't do that, ultimately we're going to find ourselves increasingly stuck in traffic. And I like to say to people, you're not stuck in traffic, you are the traffic. So we have to make these shifts if we're going to live in a city where people can move about. And unless we address the congestion, besides the sustainability and livability, we're going to face some economic crises in the years to come.
Sure. Brett, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I really, really am inspired. I like that. You're not stuck in traffic, you are the traffic. So make sure you get out. And thanks for all that government is doing for trying to improve our carbon emissions in South Africa.
Thank you.
More on Afternoon Express after this.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express here on SABC3. Now, for the month of October, a unique event is taking place in Sandton, believe it or not. It's called the EcoMobility Festival, and it aims to have Sandton Central Business District, the CBD of Sandton, a car-free zone. Joining us in the loft to help us understand how the whole thing works and to give us some insight into the motive behind the festival is a representative of the EcoMobility Festival, Sipho Nhlapo. Welcome to the loft, Sipho.
No, thank you very much, Bonnie.
Awesome. Sipho, what is EcoMobility and what does the festival intend to do or achieve?
I think let's take the three words that are called the Eco, Mobility and Festival. The word eco from eco-friendly, economical, green, sustainable, environmentally friendly, and mobility, movement. And then festival, obviously, the fun part of it. So we're saying it must be exciting, it must be nice actually to enjoy this thing. So if you start thinking about what becomes an eco-friendly way of moving, I guess your feet becomes the most eco-friendliest way of moving. And then the second choice becomes your cycling because you still pedal. And then the third best becomes then your public transport. Because imagine if I have 60 people to move and then I put them in cars, you already have a beginning of a congestion. But if I take that 60, I put them in one bus, I only have one bus that's moving on the road, and the roads are more actually open and friendlier for more people to use.
Right. What is the significance of South Africa hosting this EcoMobility Festival?
It becomes very important because if you look at where South Africa is in terms of looking at itself economically and how we want to develop economically, the studies that we've done have indicated and showed that all the cities that are very, very successful and are doing well in terms of business-wise, most of them are using public transport. So there's a very direct link between an easier way of doing business with public transport.
And productivity.
Certainly, yeah. Imagine yourself if you were to come into Johannesburg, Sandton, and then you get stuck in traffic and you want to catch a flight maybe to Manila or maybe to Brazil. And now you get delayed because of the congestion. But if you can move by train, by bus, get to your meeting, do your meeting, and still fly out of the country. So as a businessman, I love to have an environment like that to support myself, yes.
And I'm sure everybody who lives in Joburg would appreciate saving 3 hours that they spend on the road every day, right?
You must see the train of cars in the morning, people trying to get to work. And they can't just arrive at work. I guess by the time you get at work at that point, you are tired. You don't want to, you're already thinking of when am I going back home? But if we start using more other alternative modes of moving around city like Johannesburg, I can tell you without fail, people will enjoy their work better and then people will be more productive.
What are some of the conversations and dialogues that are going to happen around this at the festival?
Okay, the festival is broken into almost 4 distinct areas. The first area, obviously, is dealing with the roads itself. The cities put some of the infrastructure to support people to walk easy and all that. And the city will be putting Rea Vaya bus lanes from Sandton from November going forward. So there's that legacy in terms of infrastructure. And then the second part is the dialogues. We have specialists across the world who are actually talking around matters that affect traffic congestion, how the cities of the future look like. And then one of the things I heard Chris and Catherine talking about it, we have a topic actually in carpooling. One of the big questions we're asking is, do I need to have a car? Because I can share a car, I can carpool with friends, and it's one of those things that we are talking. And then the third element is the festivities. We have events planned almost every weekend to actually allow people to walk out on the street more. Because you know in Sandton, people get into the office, work, shower in the office, eat in the office, get into their car, they're back home. So we have a lot of events and activities that are happening to actually attract people outside their offices. So we have an exhibition that is running there so that people can come see these eco-friendly vehicles.
So how do you plan on making Sandton a car-free zone during the festival? I mean, that's going to be quite a task. I mean, already infrastructure-wise, Joburg is not pedestrian-friendly. There are no pavements to walk on. Like, it's crazy. How do you intend to do that?
Thanks, Bonnie. You see, that's the first challenge. Because over the years, the way the roads were built, they were built for the car.
Okay.
They were not built for a cyclist. They were not built for a pedestrian. So that's why you used to see sidewalks that are very thin.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to walk there. People like you in these beautiful shoes, it's difficult to walk in some of these
and also,
sidewalks.
Traffic lights open for pedestrians for like 5 seconds.
Yes.
And then like 2 minutes for the cars.
And then the motorists are already angry at you, even with the little 5% you have. But what we are doing now with the city of Johannesburg, if you go to West Street now, one of the critical link in Sandton, you'll see the sidewalk is much wider. It's almost 2 meters wide. There's a cycle lane on that street.
Okay.
If you go down Linden Road, over Greystone, 10,000 people walk from Alexandra to Sandton every day. We've widened the sidewalk, we've created the cycle lanes, and we'll be putting the bus lanes. So it will be easier for you to walk, to cycle, and actually use public transport.
Yeah. Who are some of the representatives globally who will be attending the festival?
Well, firstly, we had the Secretary General of ICLEI, which is responsible for sustainable local government, Monica Zimmerman. We have mayors from Suwon in the east. We have mayors from Cameroon who's joined us, because these are the people who are beginning to make a change in the world in terms of how Africa positions itself to become a world beater and a world-class city like in Johannesburg.
Yeah, I can imagine walking is more fun. I mean, it's healthier, you just feel better already. What are some of the campaigns you have marketing-wise to make it appeal to people that it is more fun?
Okay, if I start what we've just done already. On the first, we had a fashion show that was built around recycling, eco-friendly material to do that. On Sunday, we had a walk from Sandton to Alex. On the 11th, this coming Sunday, we are having a freedom ride in the morning. If you've got a bike, bring your bike. It's not a race, just ride around Sandton. And then later in the afternoon, the very same Sunday, we have Zahara and Malay performing on West Street. So basically, we're getting people to own the street. Yeah, and then on the 24th, we have the Discovery Duathlon, people going to play there. And on the 31st, it's a big one. You know that the Boks, hopefully they're in the final because it's a rugby final and it's a first game for Pirates and Chiefs. So we're trying to say to people, come to Sandton, enjoy the space. It's very exciting there.
Yeah, so it's big festive and it's a big turn-up, huh? Okay,
yes.
All the best with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bonnie.
Okay, let's head to Mexico with Bonang in the kitchen.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. Mexico, indeed. It is a Tuesday, which means we're going to be adding a little bit of sweetness with Selati, as you all know. You know, sugar is quite versatile, right? I know people want to add it in toffees and caramels and desserts, but today we're going to be adding a little bit of sweetness in our jalapeno poppers. Is that what we're making, Megan?
Definitely. And we're making a spicy sweet chili sauce to go along with it.
I love that. So where do we begin?
So
and what
actually,
do we need?
we are going to begin right here. So we're going to be adding our plantation Selati sugar. And then we're going to be adding, we've got rice vinegar and water mixed together.
I'll help you with this. So
that's
you just
gonna
mix
go
away.
together there.
Am I whisking?
Yes. And then once that dissolves, but for the purpose of TV, we're going ahead. We've got some Tabasco sauce, some smoked chili flakes to give it that really delicious flavor.
Nice.
As well as some garlic.
All right.
Garlic is always in chili sauce. Then we've made a slurry.
A slurry?
Yes.
What is that?
So a slurry is basically equal parts of cornstarch and water. So it's just basically a thickening agent. So we're just going to add that to it.
And how long does this stay on the stove for?
Just until it's gone really down and kind of gloopy and just like done its thing. And then also, once it's thickened, and then also we have some fish sauce over here. We're just going to add.
Would have never thought to add fish sauce in a spicy...
It just gives that like Thai flavor that's just absolutely delicious.
Hear you.
And then we move it to this side. So basically what we've done is we've sliced open our jalapeno already, and we've taken out the seeds. So if you'd like to actually start the breading process, so if you just want to add the cayenne pepper, the garlic salt, and the Tabasco to the buttermilk. Okay.
You got me working. Okay, so some pepper in here.
Yes.
All right. How much?
Just 2 tastes, so that's perfect. Some of the garlic salt.
Garlic salt.
And then some of the Tabasco.
All of it.
Well, you could do it to taste, so...
Well, okay.
That would be good.
And then?
And then I've got over here.
Then you
mix that together.
Okay.
So I basically got the mixture over here that we're stuffing the poppers with. So this is cream cheese, grated cheddar cheese, some chives, and then some seasoning. And we basically stuff them that they look similar to this. Then we go in. Yes. So we stuff the poppers. So you've got that little bit of surprise inside. Then you do your buttermilk. And then you bread them. But the secret is definitely to do a double breading. That is definitely the secret.
Okay.
As well as finishing this off like this. And then just before, you're going to fry it off so that they're golden and delicious. And then you've got these.
You make it look and seem so easy. All right, so how long does each then jalapeno go into the oil?
You just kind of shallow fry it until they go really beautiful and golden, because nothing actually needs to cook. So basically just from here...
We're just creating the coating.
Yes, exactly. So you've got the beautiful braided coating. You're just going to go straight into shallow frying them. And then they're going to get like that. And then that is your delicious...
All right, so we take a jalapeno sauce like, well, a jalapeno sauce, listen to me. And we dip it into the sauce like that.
So you can see how the cornstarch just thickened the sweet chili sauce as well.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
are amazing. All right, this is fun. So while I chow away on this is so delicious. Make sure you can get the recipe and, of course, the method and how to create this lovely dish on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. But after the break, we're back on the couch with our guests. We'll be reading your comments and taking your calls live. So pick up your phone right now and dial 083-913-378. We'll be back after this.
Selati Plantation Select adds subtle sweetness to toffees, caramel, bran muffins, or sprinkled into a spicy curry. Selati, always good, always sweet.
Alrighty, welcome back. You're still watching Afternoon Express right here on SABC3. Like we said, it's Tuesday, so it's all about sustainability and, of course, carpooling.
Yeah.
It's National Carpool Week.
EcoMobility,
Everything.
Going green.
We are definitely going green. And we asked you how you think carpooling is going to change, you know, the carbon emission and, of course, reduce the carbon emission. We've got a Facebook comment from Shameen Pillay. Says, I think carpooling is a cost-effective idea. This would also have a huge impact on traffic during peak hours. There should be a website that people can advertise carpools.
Wow, yeah.
Lovely idea.
We also have a caller on the line. Linda, how are you, Linda? Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Hello.
How are you?
My suggestion was simply that as I was listening to you, it sounded like an awful lot of fun. But I was thinking, what about those people who simply don't have cars, and they're definitely in the majority? Why not include the idea, you know, like on the trains or taxis or buses and so forth, the karaoke idea, so that, you know, the fun can be spread around a bit.
Got you.
That's an awesome idea. Actually, I never thought of that.
Yeah, so Linda's saying we must extend the karaoke, obviously, to trains and taxis. Do you think that will work?
Most of South Africa.
To include most of South Africa. We are a, you know, rhythm-filled nation. What do you think?
Well, if we have the right music, I think that's the difficult one, is going to be able to get everybody to agree on the same song.
Yeah.
Right.
And Catherine, your thoughts?
Definitely. I think that it's really important to be able to include the mass of our population in these kinds of initiatives. And karaoke on a train or karaoke in the taxi, I think it could work.
Are you guys going to be taking part, and what's your song? What are you doing?
Ooh. I'm game for any song, but people need to jump into my hybrid, and we can do this.
You have a hybrid?
I do.
Nice.
Of course she has a hybrid.
Of course, yeah. Goes without saying. Yeah.
It's got a plug-in microphone for the karaoke as well.
Yeah.
But hands-free, just remember hands-free, yeah?
Yes.
And are you going to be taking part as well, carpooling? What song would you choose?
Well, I don't know, because I'm going to be going with Catherine to be on the carpool. So we're gonna,
No pressure.
And Ruby, I dare you. I dare you to invite a couple of people into your car and sing Nomvula.
Probably not going to happen, eh?
No.
No.
I'll have people in my car and we'll sing like a Barney song or something.
Of course.
With the kids.
With the kids.
Yeah,
All right.
Just make it fun.
But I mean, you know, for anybody that's watching, Catherine, before we leave today, how can I be part of all your awesome initiatives, including Miss Earth South Africa, if I'm a young girl and I want to change my space, change my community, and be an ambassador for such an incredible pageant?
I think, please, the best way is to go to the website www.missearthsa.co.za and follow us on social media, because those platforms are constantly updated every single day. There's great initiatives, great programs, and it's MissEarth_SA. And if you want to follow the work I do, it's Change Agent SA, and that's just because my surname was far too long enough to have a Twitter handle or anything else. So Change Agent SA on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can find my page there.
Awesome.
Stunning.
Awesome.
And of course, Ocean Driven
Waterman
is out there. Your incredible book is out there. Stoked. When can we see it?
Well, you know, I'm very fortunate that the book is already out and it's been launched in South Africa a couple months ago, and most of the exclusive and most of the bookstores have it, or it's on Amazon download as well. Yes. And then the film Ocean Driven we launched in LA about 3 months ago, and I'm flying over to New York to launch it there, and then San Francisco in October, end of October, and then in South Africa November, December. So looking forward to it. It'll be at the Galileo Outdoor Cinema in the middle of November, and the Wayscape Film Festival at Bolabia. So hopefully you girls will join us. We'll have to fly Catherine down for it as well.
Us too.
With an interesting ideology around the word impossible. Can you share that with us?
Well, I don't believe in the word impossible, and it's just how you look at it. It's an attitude and mindset, and if you break up the two words, impossible, into 2 words, it's I'm possible. And I believe that
I'm possible.
It's about believing in yourself, and once you believe in that, then anything's possible.
Wow,
and if you can delete the 2 words,
incredible.
can't and impossible out of your life, then certainly anything is possible and anything can be achieved.
All right.
Okay, awesome.
And I mean, earlier on we did say we're going to be giving away a copy of Stoked, which is a brand new
Yes.
book. And Vilna, congratulations.
Vilna Goosen, well done. Congratulations.
The book is coming your way. Thank you very, very much. But if you want any more information on any of our guests, more than welcome to log on to our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. But make sure you tune in for Afternoon Express tomorrow at 4 p.m. right here on SABC3. In the first 15 minutes, we're chatting to iconic South African singer Amor Vitone. And in the kitchen, we're making a very unique recipe, raw chocolate avocado tarts.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you same place, same time tomorrow.
Mwah.
Happy eating.
Cheers. Let's dig in.
Coming up tomorrow on Afternoon Express, renowned South African singer Amor Vitone joins us in the loft to chat about her career and to shed some light on her personal life.
Another feel-good production.